One.
Hello, everyone! I don't know whether the top of my head's cut off or not, but anyway, we're doing this fancy smancy video. I think we got our act together. Anyway, hello, everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Woo, Bernie! Ah! Oh, there's an intro for you. I swear, at some point we got to get sort of professional about this and have like the intros. You know, like how Chico has his, Tyler has his Chico crypto intro thing. We got to do one of those things, and his little Jedi sword thing that he does and all that. One day, suppose a boy can dream. You know, I will say I had a long meeting with Sjord last night. And there was something that was really bugging me about the platform, but we got it fixed, and now the platform is just humming along. And I had so much fun. I think I probably spent about 4 or 5 hours yesterday just banging out charts on the platform here, all the data that we have. Just having a great old time. So actually, I'm really, really pleased with the way the engine's operating right now. So way to go, Sjord. We had a hot fix to fix something that was driving me crazy, and now it looks like it is fixed, so we're rocking it here now. And I will say, somebody asked me about the bonds yesterday. Or maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before, I can't remember. But I think somebody remind me to circle around, because we had a great Stock Pickers Club meeting last night. Tuesday evenings, we have our Stock Pickers Club. David O, of course, total rock star. He's just beautiful TA. He knows his TA backwards now, so it's just awesome watching him in action. Ryan was recording and just being a boss there, and I don't know, we had probably about a half a dozen people in that call all participating. It was a lot of fun, so thank you guys. Really super exciting stuff last night. But remind me in the after party. Somebody remind me in the after party. We should go back and review what we looked at in the bond market yesterday, because it does actually align nicely with somebody had asked me about the bonds, because the bonds right now, while they're not technically in that great of a spot, so like weekly commodity trend survey, not really overly excited. But when we look at our market universe and we look at the breadth of the bond market was getting pretty washed out there. So anyway, somebody remind me after in the after party, we got to go back and circle around and look at that stuff. Like I said, the platform is just killing it right now. It just looks so pretty. It's really coming together. Solid product. The irony of it all, though, of course, is look at what we're staring at in our faces. I mean, this just looks like a train wreck. And I remember, I guess about the middle of last week, I even put tweets out going, this stock market looks just brutal. And sure enough, look what's happened over the past couple of days. So it is interesting how you see the market coming off, but look at what's happening. I don't know whether anybody's noticing. Look at what the country funds are doing. So country funds are going heavily oversold, both in the short and the medium term. We should actually get a pretty good looking buy signal in the stock market, especially in North America, when the S&P 500 and it goes heavily oversold in both the short and medium term as well. So I'm going to be watching for that like a hawk, and that makes sense because, January barometer was saying sort of, February-ish, we should have looked for some sort of pullback. We're getting the pullback now. Of course, this absolute doofus idiot over there in Russia is just causing so many fucking problems for the world. And of course, it's his 1-year anniversary. Sure hope that's going well for you there, Mr. Putin. Murdering probably a good maybe 250,000 to better part of probably, and including civilians, probably easily 500,000 humans. This one human being is directly responsible for their deaths. So, God, there's no justice in this world, eh? Anyway. So I think a lot of what you're seeing in the market is around that. But at the same time, too, remember that the people that are sort of running the money situation of the world, the banksters, they've been explicitly saying that, hey, they need to bring a little bit more pain into everybody's life So on top of the fact that we have these horrible geopolitical situation going on, we also have the banksters at work. So put it all together, and we're sort of seeing a bit of a swoon here in the market. I'd also point out too, and this is the subtle thing, because I just don't think I'm getting this message across. I mean, I've been trying to teach this program. Remember, I used to be an options broker. So I used to like eat and live and drink these damn options stuff day in, day out. And I can't believe the stunning con job that Wall Street just absolutely pulled off here over the past, I would say probably past month or so here on the Bitcoin market. These are the Bitcoin ETF. And like 47,000 put options all expired, worthless. That's a lot of money, folks. I mean, a lot of money. And then to add insult to injury, they bump the market up just above where the heaviest open interest on the calls are, and they expire the market in the money. So that means that these calls get auto-exercised, and now you can see the market is melting down here. We're gapping lower. In fact, you might even call that an island top up there. You see what happened with this island top. Baboosh, doosh, doosh, doosh. So, God, I can't believe how choreographed this con job was. And that's the irony of this, is that this will go completely unnoticed. And yet, I think this actually explains why prices were moving the way that they were. I mean, it's incredible. You go on like social media and YouTube and all that kind of nonsense, and you listen to all the kids explaining why they think the market is moving up or down. And I don't think they really have a clue what's going on here. But if you can understand this image, then I think you understand exactly what just happened there. So, I hate to say it, but I think there was just the biggest fucking con job in the world was just pulled off there by Wall Street once again. I mean, like, it's incredible year after year after year, just showing you guys how the market is manipulated through these options. And there's no reporting of any of this because all of this stuff settles OTC. So anyway, it is what it is. This is supposed to be a 30-minute summary here. We're probably about 5 minutes into the summary. I've got the rant out of the way. Blah, rant, blah. Okay. Now, let's get on with the show. Broader market, U.S. dollar still pushing higher here. Hearing that mortgage rates are starting to back up down in the States. I do see that the bonds are a little bit happier this morning. And again, I want to circle around. I think it was Andre who asked me about this yesterday. I kind of gave a quick answer, but actually when we really dug into this in the Stock Pickers Club meeting last night, there's some interesting sort of finds that we had there. So I'm not going to go into too much more detail, but tune in for the Afterparty show to talk a little bit about bonds and interest rates going forward. Stocks, of course, we've talked a little bit recently about how the stock market looks like poop here. And the breadth indicator, of course, needed time to clean itself up. But, like if you look at the country funds, based off of the platform, I'm getting the feeling like we're getting pretty close to some sort of pivot bottom. They are puking the market out now. We actually do technically have the fast signaling line in the oversold camp for the stock market. So we can actually start thinking about, okay, obviously we don't have a bottom in just yet, and it's probably going to take a week or two to find that bottom. And hopefully what you're seeing, and probably a big project for us going down the road, is we really need to be able to scroll through time and go back and look at this chart over, say, the past 6-12 months, and so see the way this oscillates back and forth. Unfortunately, Stewart is just up to his eyeballs in jobs, so it's on the to-do list. But the point being that if you have been watching this oscillator, it seems to move in about a month or so, maybe a month and a half, 6 weeks kind of idea. So we did just go through a topping pattern there, basically the middle to the end of January. So probably this bottoms maybe the end of February, beginning of March, that kind of idea, and then we start turning up. And I'm sorry, Pascal, this war is 100% Vladimir Putin's responsibility. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't really care what anybody says. I'm drawing a line on that statement. That's exactly how I feel, and there is no reason why you have any justification to blame anybody else for this war. This is entirely Vladimir Putin's responsibility. I've said it. You can think what you want. That's what Brian thinks. If you want to unsubscribe, fine. But there's no negotiating with that. Now, I guess the good part about this is if we look over, now I don't know, good, bad, that's a tough one. If we look over at crypto, we did have crypto trying to work its way higher, but I think the weight of the broader market was just too much, and as a result, the trading, one of the trading plans, I got a whole bunch of trading plans working, but this one in particular, I believe that we just got a sell signal. Not I believe, we did. A moving average cross here. So as a result, I had no choice. I had to liquidate the position. And if anything, the site makes it really easy now. Because if you just come into the bread signals, you see as the engine updates at 9:30, which I think is roughly about 6 o'clock in Europe, for Sjord's beginning of his day, it fired the cross. And as a result, I had to exit that recent purchase that I did on the corn. If anything, I'm feeling okay about that, because if I'm not mistaken, the corn's off a chunk here this morning. Where's our charts? You can see everything's on its knees. This algo does nothing more than just I'm either long or I'm on the sidelines. There is no shorting to this the way that I have this right now. I think that they just pulled off a massive con job, and I wouldn't be surprised if this ETF, now they've got all of these poor bag holders all long from 15 bucks. You can see all that. I mean, look at that big hole right down there at $11. I don't know whether we have to go all the way down there, but you can definitely see this little gap right here. And actually what I'm suggesting to people, I was having an interesting conversation with the kids in the lounge this morning. What I kind of think's going to happen here is something along these lines now. So we had long signals, a bit of good in, then got out, then got back in, then got out. You know, it's just the way algos work. I suppose one could argue that if you were botting this out, your stops down below here. We haven't broken that yet, but there is the exit from last night. I got to update the journal here once I'm done this video. And actually what I did, which I thought was super cool, but I don't know whether it's on this thing or not. Let's see. Do I have it here? Yeah. So I get the impression, and this is sort of like Brian's artwork, something along those lines. I believe Colonel Mustard did it in the drawing room with the candlestick. No, I won't go there. All right, so I think it looks something along these lines. So, and actually it's interesting, in our day trading room, we started kicking around the idea of when does Bitcoin actually puke out. I don't think Bitcoin's going to puke out too violently here in the short term. What I just did was a really simple market symmetry study. Right? Just took this price action, replicated it, flipped it around, and then just overlaid it. I wouldn't be surprised if we follow a path something along these lines. And I think what's happening here in the short term, we'll see how the stock market goes, but I think that we're getting like a head and shoulders pattern that should develop here. So if we are breaking in earnest, then really I fully expect us to come back down into the sort of low to 20,000, 21,000 area. Then a counter trend rally back up, usually into Easter, there's some sort of kind of peak, and then the Easter holiday weekend comes, and then boom, right down into Brian's birthday, and everybody hates Brian because of his birthday. He broke Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. So that's sort of what I'm seeing here going forward. I just call it a hunch, who knows. So I bought the position back. No, I sold. I bought the position back, and then I just quickly. Actually, I bought the position back there, and then I liquidated last night on that sell signal. You can see, and the corn's down $800 here today. And also, too, what I noticed, a lot of red. Remember we said yesterday we saw some green coming back while we were doing the video, and I was kind of like, oh, that's encouraging. Things are perking up. I noticed that, wow, just a sea of red. Right across the map. Ironically enough, the only names that are still up are these crazy names. I'm not even going to say the name. You all know what the hell this thing is. So we're getting awfully close to our sell half on a double order. I know Stuart is following this, and he actually had posted that we hit our double level. I don't know whether we have or not, but nonetheless, he's managing this over in DeFi land. So we'll see if he reports that we did any trades. If anything, it might be nice to bang out another double here before the market takes off to the downside. But you can see there's a bit of red on the screen now. This market's looking awfully heavy here. And we're getting chunky pullbacks, 5%, 7%, 6%, 11%. These are getting into some big numbers, 5%. So probably best, that sort of is a summary of the crypto. Like I said, I've hopped off the algo. Still have a few names that I'm spoon feeding. I don't really see anything that I really want to buy. If anything, I even put out, and it's interesting how this silly ARPA keeps moving up, because I even put out a tweet yesterday. Absolutely love the price chart. I mean, this chart just absolutely looks beautiful. There's going to be a ton of money made in this name down the road. It's I could very easily, hell, you want to see something crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if we ultimately top out at these kind of levels down the road. So way up here, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And the longer this thing goes, the higher that number goes. So, but I can't chase, right? And I even put a tweet out yesterday going, I've got to stop thinking about buying, just slow down, don't get sucked in. So, you can see where I want to buy. And really what I just got to be is I just got to be patient and disciplined. And if this thing does move higher, fine, adjust higher my fibs. But as it stands right now, you can see where I want to be long. And so I just got to be patient and just wait. So if anything, and I know there's guys like Zugi on the site and stuff that are just like, can I please get a pullback here so I can buy some of this stuff back that we've been selling up top here? Because I'm now starting to get light because I've sold everything at huge gains. So if anything, I kind of like the thinking that, hey, can we please have a pullback here over the next month or so and see if we can sneak in back in on some of these. And in this particular one, I'm not even in at all. And I want to get in. All right, so that's sort of your summary of the crypto market. Stock market, we talked a little bit about that. I think this was the image that I put out recently. Pretty straightforward. How many, what letters of the alphabet do you see here? Just keep this as simple as possible, folks. M's, bearish divergences with M's in RSI, M's in Willie stupid. Moving averages have M's in them now. The writing's on the walls. M's in price. It's interesting how we did come down to our 50% level here. This was 50% of the anticipated move, which means that had you shorted this, probably not a bad idea to, at the very least, just move stops to scratch so this nice huge winning trade doesn't turn into a losing trade. Quite often that happens with people, and it's pretty frustrating mentally. Have we hit that level yet? 39.8550. Low here, 39.90. So haven't quite hit that yet. Is there any sign of a buy signal in here at all? No. V bottom. Looks like we got a bit of a doji candle in here. One thing I did like, and this is more like day trader kind of talk, I really love this setup. Where what I like to follow is the VWAP, and actually Cypher is doing just a fantastic job with the VWAP. And in this particular case, you notice that we tagged this kind of a megaphony kind of pattern once, twice. We're coming into this level. I noticed that they did a nice little FU here where they took the market down, but they didn't tag this line. Then they brought the market back. Then they took it down, and of course that sets up a big liquidity pool, and they flushed the liquidity through that event. Then they put in a bottom, and the market comes screaming back to the VWAP. Oh man, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that in my career. So I think that's sort of like the day trade. Does this translate into like trending higher? I don't know. I think it's at this point it's way too early. That's a reaction V bottom. I think this happened because at the UN, I think that they had sort of a special day. Let's all think about Ukraine and how horrible that situation is. Blah blah blah. I think the Ukrainians were saying they were going to boycott things if the Russians were allowed to participate, blah, blah, blah. It just went on. Total soap opera. I have a feeling that that's what all that is around. If we actually look at the economic data, I didn't really see anything that was like, oh my God, that's a problem. If anything, we were talking prop firms in the day trader room this morning. But let's see where we are here. Reviewing the news, just sort of business as usual. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is good. It's the end of February, and people are getting stressed out about winter weather back east. Well, we're supposed to have winter in the middle of February. What the hell? So this is business as usual. There's nothing really new going on here. If anything, I almost find it funny that people still have to deal with winter weather, and they're always surprised when in the middle of winter there's really nasty weather. What a surprise! Anyway, so you can see the weather is causing people to sort of hunker down. If you might find that economic activity, we used to joke when I was a kid that we'd lose Buffalo 2 or 3 times a year. It would just get wiped right off the map, right? Buried in snow. And in those kind of environments, do people stay home? Do they not spend money? I suppose the online world probably likes that, but I could understand that the economy itself might take a bit of a pause. If we're all buried in snow here. But from what I understand, that's a big thing that's sort of driving the news in North America today is the weather. I suppose China here, and are they going to endorse Russia? Are we being spoon-fed a story in the West to trigger us emotionally about all of this, when really it's just business as usual? I don't know. And I don't think any of us on the outside do really know what's really going on. But anyway, big headlines. China kind of getting a little bit in the weeds. I thought it was interesting last night that we actually looked at the China fund. And I was actually a bit surprised. Like if I go China fund... People were talking about China reopening and, hey, everything's great. Well, that doesn't look very great to me. That looks like, I guess, they did the reopening there the end of January, and they probably bid the market up. Remember, January's a pretty fun month there, eh? So there's December. There's the end of the year. January was a very, very strong reporting month. January barometer. Probably through the entire calendar year, you're going to find that the equity markets are happier. But you can see month of February has not been kind to China at all here. And now, are they gonna start triggering the ire of the Americans by maybe testing whether the Americans are going to sanction them if they help the Russians out? I don't know, but I'm sure that's part of the equation here that's bringing prices down. It's a can of worms. I guess it's kind of disappointing for me because I grew up through the Cold War. I met my wife and fell in love, and everything was just awesome in the 1990s. and world peace and the whole new world order and all that crap from George Bush Sr. and all that, 1,000 points of light. People actually felt pretty optimistic about sort of the prospects going forward. And literally over the past 20, 30 years, we've just basically unwound all that positive karma. And now we're right back in the shit show. Yeah, we might have nuclear war tomorrow. Who knows? Anyway, party. China's kind of not, that's not really a chart I'm too excited about. I mean, if anything, I got to see W start coming in. And then I suppose, we probably could create like a China breadth indicator. But I wouldn't be surprised if this thing turns back up as soon as we see all our fun breadth, especially with regard to the country funds. If we actually we might even have, yeah, we do. Let's see, does this actually have a country fund? No, so, right, I'm not quite sure why that says crypto up there. I thought maybe we had, where else do we have it? Market Universe, we might have this, because the country funds themselves would probably be a really interesting breadth indicator to follow. Computers, country funds. There we go. Let's see what we got here. Breadth. This might work. Let's see what we got. Hey, there we go. Perfect. So, soon as you can see, remember we had said the end of December, beginning of January, set up a really nice little rally window, in China and stuff like that. Well, you can see same sort of thing. So we're coming down. We're face ripping down now. So there's no buy signal anywhere in sight right now. But the fact that we're getting so close to the zero line, I think actually corresponds nicely with the histogram and the way that the country fund. So there's the country fund sort of line chart. The histogram. Right, shows that it's absolutely getting wiped out here. So probably the world equity markets are approaching some sort of bottom. It's not here yet. You can see the S&P 500 is nowhere close to bottoming. So we just got to be patient. Just got to let it develop. But, if anything, that China fund, like I was just showing you there a second ago, you notice how there's a gap right here that needed filling in. There's also some pretty big gaps down in here. So really, probably the bottom line is this thing bottoms when we start seeing W's come in, right? As soon as we start seeing the W's, then we can start getting bullish again. But for now, I think you just got to cool your jets, whether it be the S&P 500 or whether it be China or whether it be Bitcoin. Risk right now, I think, is on the sidelines. Other than that, so major news, like I said, I think it's more geopolitical rather than economic that's driving the story right now, which happens. I remember living through the 80s and interesting how correspondingly 80s cycle, probably the early 1940s, same sort of cycle. People are dominated by the geopolitical news. Are we going to have a nuclear war? Are we going to go to war with the Ruskies? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they're not really paying attention to the way the banksters are finessing the Great Reset here. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. What I would just simply say is, you want to time your purchases. Just wait for the W's to start forming, and then we can start thinking bullish again. But that's not right now. And as I said there a moment ago, I actually got a bit of a sell signal there in crypto. So the simple algo that I'm running on crypto told me I had to hop off, so I did. I just went off into cash. I guess what time is it here? 9:30? Yeah, I think we could take a quick boo at econs, but I don't think I really saw anything econ-wise that really jumped out at me. Let's see over here, and I like to follow this news site. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones. Yeah, so they're talking about mortgage rates are moving back up. We did see interest rates rise recently, but as I said, in the after party, we'll dig into what we sort of came, our grand conclusion was in that Stock Pickers Club meeting last night. I get the impression that interest rates are moving up a little bit higher here, but we're kind of coming into a long-term pivot. So that's the way I'm looking at it right now. Stocks, Dow's up 60 points. S&Ps are up 7. Of course, we got absolutely wiped out there yesterday. Is this the start of a new bull? Right now, as I said, I think at best you just call this a doji day so far. You can see Japan did not finish the day well, and you can see, Great Britain was slightly down, but Germany was up a bit, so kind of mixed bag out of Europe. Probably a good way to describe this. Wall Street struggles to make headway. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that statement. Interesting. I don't think, econs wise, I didn't really see anything that really jumped out at me. If I understand correctly, I think Mr. Powell is going to be speaking relatively soon. I don't know whether it's today. So today, February 22nd, in about an hour and a half, we're going to have the FOMC minutes come out. Keep in mind, one of the doves of the FOMC, and really, if you've ever heard that term before, it's doves are people that want lower short-term interest rates. Hawks are people that want higher short-term interest rates. So one of the doves that was sort of pleading the case for, friendlier Fed policy, Bernard or whatever the hell, I think it's a lady. She left the Fed, and now I think she moved over and is one of Biden's sort of people now in the White House. Keep in mind that the banksters and the White House and the U.S. government, they're basically tied at the hip. And as Powell has recently said, the United States and the U.S. citizens, actually, you don't have any control. And hell, in Canada, it's no better. Don't get me wrong. It's much, much worse. But we don't have any control over our economy or society anymore. This is entirely being run by the banksters. So the question ultimately here is, what is it that they want? And Mr. Powell has specifically said, United States citizens, you have no choice. Especially with the fact that they have these politicians now since the days of Ronald Reagan, basically living in deficit. There is no such thing as governments balancing budgets. You want to put on your tinfoil hat and go down the money master's rabbit hole, fine. But the point here is that we do live in a deficit world. The economy must grow, all that kind of talk. If it doesn't grow, then all of our standard of livings get sacrificed, i.e. price inflation. So if anything, you want the economy to grow to keep the inflation problems in check. But because of this, Powell has said recently, look, the United States has to increase its debt limit. There is no alternative. The alternative is if the Republicans in the United States government say, nope, we're not going to pass any more debt ceiling limits or increases, then the whole system collapses. So there you go. So anyway, point here, in about an hour and a half, we'll have a little bit of a comment come out of the Fed. My hunch is that their statement, and it'll be interesting, we'll pass it around the lounge. My hunch is they're probably going to reiterate the statements that got to keep the gas pedal on raising interest rates and getting in front of this inflation problem. If they don't, then inflation will come back in a heartbeat. There's lots of data points down in the States saying that if they don't keep the pressure on interest rates moving higher, the whole economy could very easily go into hyperinflation mode. So, if you want something to look forward to, that's in about an hour and a half. That will probably act as the next pivot in the market. Considering what we just said there a moment ago about the way that they're sort of taking the market off of its knees and rallying it up, it almost feels like maybe this is going to be like a buy the rumor. Notice that there is the original M top that they put in through that European session, and then into that FOMC minutes release. They've relieved all the oversoldness, right? We can probably see this. This is Andrew's day trading matrix. Probably not the best one to show you. Probably over here. If we look at, say, something like an intraday chart, not really lower time frames, but sort of medium term. This is a 9-minute chart. Yeah, you can see how over the past, I guess, few hours here, probably 3 minutes, probably better. Yeah, there we go. So into that open this morning, remember we said the VWAP, standard deviation band, all that kind of talk. We were right down at the bottom end of the range. Market actually really didn't quite get stupid, but pretty oversold. RSI actually put in the most beautiful little bull div. MACD put in its beautiful bull div. Remember I said that there was a great little long trade for a move back to the VWAP. You could even make the argument that this looks like almost, I mean, I'll just eyeball this. It won't be exact. Something like there to there. AEB. And then clone that. So on that Fed meeting Fed meeting minutes and release, they're probably going to rally it up into here and then roll it over. So if anything, you know what's happening right now. This is classic. And then we went after the stops. We know that the noob stops are right up here. Question is, do they bust out this shooting star high? Actually, that almost looks like a doji, but shooting star doji. I'm sure there is a name for that. Can they go and take that high out? Well, that'll be interesting. You can see there's a lot of people that are trap bulls up in here that would love getting released. I think that's what's... Hey, there you go. They popped it up. Somebody must have just said something. So they're popping up, running those stops as we speak right now. And in about, what did we say? In about an hour and 20 minutes, those Fed meeting minutes will come out. And that probably stalls things out. But, that's just predictor hats, whatever the hell that's worth. Okay, there's your summary for today. I'm sure I missed something, but try to get everything in as fast as I possibly can in half an hour. Pop on in on the Afterparty show, and I'll try and slow down, maybe drop it down a gear, and we'll review all the different names that we looked at last night in the Stock Pickers Club. There's some really interesting ideas that we had. So, as well too, I did post a ton of ideas. Like I said, the engine itself is just kicking it. And it's actually a lot of fun to use now that I got it sort of working the way that I want it to work. Because now, when I go through my Brian Signal screen, this is, just before we leave, I'll just show you this. This is super cool. You can see, of course, signals coming in constantly. Momentum pushes. These model signals are just awesome. So hopefully you can see that's a bullish bot. 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows. You get any kind of push up through the top here if you're interested in investing in restaurant stocks. That's a interesting conversation altogether. These signals came in a couple days ago. Was really interested. Of course, there's another bullish bot, so you can see it: 1 lows, 2 lows, 3 lows. The interesting, the ideas are there. I thought this was interesting. Campbell's Soup. Of course, this is a consumer defensive name. When the signal did come in, we had one hell of a pop there. And probably not a good idea to buy that now. But this is an interesting, this 2-bar setup is called a Joby Gap or Doji Gap setup. So that's a buy signal unto itself. So as I said there a second ago, I really like the way that the system is spitting out signals now. And actually, we do have a few new signals. Here's interesting how Walmart spat out a key reversal yesterday. Don't see that every day. I think Walmart came out with some pretty negative comments yesterday, but look at the price action. Son of a gun. So I don't know whether you buy the whole idea of key reversals, but wow, what a signal. And it's also really cool, key reversals, because this actually has all of the trade information all built into one candle. So if anything, there's a tease for you to come and join the after party, and we'll talk a little bit about how you might trade that. All right. Why don't we leave it at that? Have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day. PMA for the win. All the best. The only thing left for Brian to say is bye for now.